name is Hayden. I am currently a lieutenant with the Volley House Roleplay community. It is a Discord based on ITF and offers many more different games to game on. We have gaming nights almost every day of the week. But this is going to be a very basic pump tutorial on how to pull up to a house fire and be able to get your truck pumping water. So first off, there's three things you need to understand. There's three different kind of hoses on these engines. There's either going to be a small discharge, which is your top one, a large discharge, which is your bottom one, and an intake. So first off, your small discharges are going to be for your hand lines to actually fight the fire with. See small, grab discharge 6. I have a nozzle in my hand. A supply line or an intake. Right here is called intake. In the back is called supply line. No matter what, they do the same job. They intake water into the truck. So that's going to be getting water from a hydrant into the truck or from another truck into your truck. Your intake is intaking water into the truck. Discharge is discharging water, pushing water out of the truck. So let's talk about how to pump right when you get on the scene and you don't have a hydrant. Let's say we don't have a hydrant. First thing you're going to want to do is pull tank to pump. This is the easiest way I can explain it. Right here, these entire four walls is going to be your pump. Is going to be your tank. Your tank is holding the water. Right here is your pump, obviously. So when you pull tank to pump, what you are doing is moving the water from your tank into your pump so you can pump it out to your hand or attack lines, however you want to say it. So without pulling tank to pump, you are not going to flow water. You can sit here all day long, you're not going to flow water. So what you're going to want to do is set your discharge pressure. So on a hand line and attack line, it's going to be anything from 120 to 180. Anything less than 120, you won't be able to flow water. Anything more than 180, you won't be able to walk while you're flowing water. So I like a cool 150, a happy medium. I'll charge my discharge 1. I know it's a small discharge, so it's a hand line. And I am now discharging the same amount of water that I've set my pump to put out. So I can grab small discharge 1. I'll put a combi nozzle on it. I can flow water all day long and still walk with it. Just drop that. Just go back to the pump. Let's say you want to also charge this bumper line. You have two firemen. They both want a hose line. Well, first thing you want to do is you're going to want to gate down discharge number 1, because when you increase your pump discharge pressure, discharge 1 is also going to increase. So let's increase it. Let's say a nice 300, an even number. You're at 180, you don't need that much pressure. You gate it down back to 150. Go to discharge 6, which is the bumper line. Pull it till it's at 150. You are now discharging the same amount of water you have set your pump to discharge. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. Say I put that at 180 and I put this discharge at 180. You see this orange bar climbing up? That means your pump is overheating. That means you are discharging more water than you have set your pump to discharge. So now your pump is overheating because it is struggling to discharge 360 gallons per minute when it's only set for 300 gallons a minute. So let's drop it back to 300 and you'll see the pump start cooling off. So whenever your pump overheats, that means you're discharging more water than you're intaking, or more water than you set your pump to. So now that that's said and done, that's pretty much simple stuff. You can hit max throttle, which will put you at a maximum of 400 gallons a minute. That is all you're going to be able to flow. So if you stick with the bare minimum at 120, you can flow 3 hand lines off of tank to pump, off of your pump pressure, maximum pump pressure. Let's close that all up. idle. My pump is back at 50 gallons a minute. And we can return all hoses, which will put everything back on the truck. And we can turn tank to pump off. So, let's say you pull up on a house fire. You have a hydrant. Hit J, and it will automatically, what I call, is fully dress your hydrant, which means a hydrant booster is on there. It's connected to a supply or intake line, and your hydrant wrench is on top with the hydrant on. So, open up your pump panel. You are now intaking water, so you need to go to the tank, and you need to fill your tank. You don't need to worry about tank to pump right here because you are now operating off of the hydrant pressure. So tank to pump is useless when you are on a hydrant. So I'm intaking 220 gallons of water right now. So I'm gonna, let's set it to 154. I grab discharge 1. I can pump. I'm discharging 154 gallons a minute. Drop it. I can walk with it. Hey, another guy needs a hand line. Okay, we'll set him up. Uh-oh. We are now discharging more water than we are intaking. So you are basically, what real life firefighters call, you are sucking the hydrant out of the ground. You are discharging more water than you're intaking, and that hurts the hydrant and all of the plumbing underneath the hydrant underground. So you just don't have enough pressure for it. You have to tell them you don't have enough pressure. They need to either bring you more water, or here's one thing you can do. Grab an intake off of the driver's side, off of the front, off of the passenger side. Grab any intake, run over, hit your action button, which for me is, I think default is the left mouse button. You are now have 2 intakes or 2 supply lines connected to the hydrant. Go ahead and recycle your tank fill, tap close and then open again. Now you're at a full 440 gallons a minute. You've just doubled your intake pressure. Go back to discharge 1, gate it down, discharge 2. You can now open to 132. You can even open discharge 3, 132. But when you open that 4th hand line, you don't have enough water pressure for that. You are discharging more than you are intaking. You are putting more water out than you are taking in. And it's going to overheat the pump, and it's just not going to do anything. It's going to... So your pump has fully overheated. Discharge 4, gate it down. You only have enough pressure for 3 hand lines at this time. If they need more, or they need the deluge, which is the deck gun, that big nozzle on top of the truck, if they need that in operation, you're going to have to tell them that they need to bring in another hydrant, or they need to bring in some tankers. Real quick, a big thing that everybody forgets to do is to shut down their apparatuses fully before clicking return all hoses. See, everything is all set. I'll return all hoses. It undresses my hydrant, puts all my hoses back on my truck, and you can see none of my levers are left open, because that can set you up for failure when you pull up to a scene and you think everything is back to normal and you have 2 or 3 discharges open and it messes up your pump pressure. So this is what happens if you don't pull tank to pump. You increase like you're supposed to. Say you want to discharge 1 at 150. Press discharge 1. See, there's no discharge happening. Your lever is moving right here all day long, but you're not getting any discharge pressure because you didn't pull tank to pump to move water from your tank into your pump. Now let's try this again. Now we have a discharge because we pulled tank to pump. And that is going to be your basic pumping guide